Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon if you're over in East Tennessee. I know some of our folks are. I am Alaina Boyd with the Center for Profitable Agriculture. I've got my coworker Megan Leffew with me here today. And welcome to our December Daring to Learn webinar session. Our session today is on NAFDMA lessons learned. So if you have joined us for a Daring to Learn session before, you know the drill. This will be recorded. We'll get this recording uploaded to YouTube later today. If not, or if you need to leave at any time, feel free to do that. You'll be able to watch the full session on YouTube once we get that up. But I will go ahead and introduce our guest speakers. So we have with us this morning two of our NAFDMA Professional Development Scholarship recipients, Nikki and Emmy Armstrong. I'll go ahead and give them just a second just to say hello and introduce themselves before we get going.
Go ahead, Nikki.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Nikki. I am with Western Kentucky University, specifically within the Department of Agriculture and Food Science. I am our cheesemaker, and I'm running our creamery and retail location on the farm, as well as managing our off-the-farm customer relations at farmers markets and special events like that.
Awesome. Thanks.
Okay, my name is Emmy Armstrong, and I am in East Tennessee. And my husband and I, we own Horse Creek Farms, and we are beginning the stages of opening up Little Lou's Creamery. We are the oldest dairy farm in Tennessee, and we're the second oldest farm in Tennessee. We milk cows, and we've just been trying to implement new streamlining income and new ways to make profits on our farm so that we can continue to dairy. So we've dabbled in the agritourism, and we're trying to be heavy on the value added part to keep the dairy a dairy and to keep it educational and all of those things.
Awesome. Well, thank you both. Megan, do you have anything you want to say?
No, I just want to, well, I guess I do because I'm speaking. I'm sorry. I do want to thank Nikki and Emmy for taking time to be with us today, and I look forward to hearing what they have to share about their NAFDMA experience. So they are really leaders in agriculture, and we appreciate the opportunity to work with them. I also want to give a shout out to Alaina and thank her for setting up this session and all of the sessions this year. This has been a fun way to connect with folks, and you don't want to miss next year's sessions. She's been working hard to get the next few months set up. So stay tuned for announcements of what's coming.
Awesome. All right.
We wanted to use this session to introduce folks to the Value Added Dairy Professional Development Scholarship Program. We have done this now. This is the third year that we've taken applications, but we realize that there are still some folks out there who haven't gotten word that this is an opportunity, or maybe they have, but didn't really recognize perhaps the value or why they should consider that. So we're going to talk about that program a little bit today and share some things that we've learned and especially that Nikki and Emmy have taken away from their participation. They've gone twice with this scholarship program to NAFDMA. And then we're going to talk just a little bit about what folks can get from professional development and some other upcoming opportunities that we are aware of. Right, Alaina?
Yeah.
So one of the reasons that we have been able to offer this scholarship, one, we have funding through the Southeast Dairy Business Innovation Initiative from USDA, and we've been trying to be really good stewards of this funding that we're so thankful for Hilltopper, who's joining us on here today as well, bringing this opportunity to Tennessee, and we've been able to sustain that even through his retirement. And we're trying to be really good stewards and trying to choose ways to use that funding that we think can help dairy producers leverage knowledge and skills and resources to make good decisions for their enterprises and to grow and expand those. So one of the ways that we wanted to use some of that funding was to provide some producers an opportunity to go to some professional development that we think is really good and helpful that exists already. And we couldn't duplicate that here because of the cost and the time to implement that. But we can invest some funds to take some producers there and take advantage of that. And so we've chosen to use the NAFDMA annual convention for that purpose. And we'll talk more about NAFDMA and why we did that. But we do have some funds for this year and next year for sure. And if we keep getting interest, we will try to keep allowing some of those scholarships to come in, and we take applications, and then we've been able to provide anywhere between $2,000 and $2,500 for people to go to this conference. It is a pricey conference, registration wise and travel expense wise. So we think a lot of folks may not be able to do it on their own, but with the help of these funds, we can make that happen. So why NAFDMA? What is NAFDMA? NAFDMA used to be called the North American Farmers Direct Marketing Association, and they have rebranded to just calling it NAFDMA, the International Agritourism Association. But this group is a producer network and then some industry partners like extension agents or Department of Agriculture folks who are interested in working to grow and develop and enhance the direct marketing industry. There's a lot of folks involved in on-farm retail markets, in pick your own type operations, and all sorts of direct marketing and agritourism from events. And so a lot of ways to add value to your farm products by directly marketing those to consumers and to adding farm experiences to that. There's a wide variety of producers in this organization, but that also is very helpful because they're a very sharing group and willing to share their experiences, lessons learned, challenges, how they've overcome them. They laugh together over shenanigans that have happened at the farm and share, how they have worked through issues. They are also really good at helping bounce ideas off of each other. So it's a good atmosphere for networking, among other things.
And I think we have some other slides as well. There are a lot of ways to be involved with NAPA, and some of that kind of the networking and bouncing ideas off of each other that Megan talked about. They have a really active group on Facebook. So it's really easy to, once you meet folks at the NAPA event, to kind of reconnect with them online. They have folks that post, seems like every week with something to share. Either advice or ideas or pictures. So there's definitely a lot of networking and kind of fellowship that takes place with this organization. So here we've got just some pictures to kind of highlight that for you guys. So this bus group picture here, NAFDMA for 2023 was held in Austin, Texas. So this was kind of my first NAFDMA experience personally, and I got to experience the bus tour group. There are kind of regional, seems like leaders in agriculture kind of in the industry who get involved and help, and they kind of act as your bus leader for the farm tour day. And as you can see, our group was kind of silly. We had a lot of fun, and there was lots of opportunity to talk with the other producers kind of in that group about, their operations, where they come from, what they do. They sent around like scrapbooks of pictures of kind of equipment and different things. So the farm tours especially are just a really good chance to get to see what other people are doing, kind of in agritourism or in value added. There's also they have a bonus day session. So this picture here in the kind of right corner, Megan and I attended the John Stanley Retail Experience in February of this year. So this gentleman is from New Zealand. He's got a chestnut farm, and they do a lot of different value-added products, do a lot of things with chestnuts. And he took us through kind of an overview of different retail spaces in the Austin, Texas area. It was really informational. They have different sessions like that. I think in 2024, the options are, they're a little bit different, but very worthwhile. And then these are just some pictures from kind of the general conference itself. And then again, Megan's already kind of touched on this, but why choose this scholarship opportunity? The educational sessions that we've talked about, the farm tours, the trade show. I was really impressed with the NAFDMA trade show, especially with this being my first experience going in. I didn't know what to expect. I've been to conventions before that were kind of small. I was really impressed with the NAFDMA trade show. If you've ever been to National FFA Convention or some other large kind of industry event, NAFDMA, it's pretty similar. And there were so many network opportunities that were able to be had, both for producers and for technical assistance providers like us. I met people that week that we were in Texas in February who I have continued to reach out to throughout the year. And it's been a great resource. And then this professional development, the scholarship opportunity, that just helps make that experience possible for producers like you guys, because it is kind of expensive with the travel. And then we've got some more pictures just to kind of show you guys some more of what we saw. So we did visit we visited a strawberry operation in Texas. I don't know that this picture is from this year.
Or was it maybe the year before? I can't remember.
But then we also got to see, there were a couple other operations that had kind of food service on site. So this is a picture of just from kind of their coffee area. And again, I can't stress the opportunity to travel and get off the farm to you guys enough. Especially for me, I'm pretty young, coming in as a farm kid with kind of no travel experience. Having the opportunity to just go across the country and see other farms, it made a big impact on me. And I know that there's just so much opportunity for producers to kind of be involved with this event.
Oh, I will mention one of the lessons I learned a lot from NAFDMA is to really pay attention to the signage that they use. I think signage is an incredible tool for direct farm marketers, whether at the farmer's market or the farm, to do a lot of things, and that may educate people. I loved this sign here, a guide for picking strawberries. This farm also had a tulip operation, and they had a guide for picking tulips. And then they also had another sign for another activity where you could plant seeds in a pot. So they had a guide for how to do that process, and then how to care for your plants when it got home. So they really used the signs to share and communicate information with people, which gave the consumers confidence, I think, in what to buy. But also then the farmers didn't have to answer the same question over and over again, or tell people information that they know they wouldn't know, because we want folks to pick strawberries and pick tulips properly so they don't damage the plants and other things. Another way we can use signs is and those signs were on like the vinyl banners with grommets, so they were very okay to use out in the weather. And then the other sign there was a great reminder of using signs to help people choose, right? So you have a lot of options for maybe flavors of ice cream if we're talking about our dairy folks. Well, what are your favorites? And share those, and people might want to try them, or you might help them choose, or they might buy an extra container to take home. So signage is something that I've really paid attention to with NAFDMA over the years, and I've been going for like 18 years or so. I haven't gone every year, but all right.
So, and another thing we wanted to touch on with you guys, especially with choosing this scholarship opportunity and just with professional development in general, even though you guys are on the farm, you're working in, with your value added operation, you still want to take time to invest in professional development, because this is so, so important for you to, one, to better yourself and better your operation. Take the chance to network. Not only will you make new friends with events like the NAFDMA conference, but you'll grow your professional network. You'll never know when you may need to rely on those contacts for something, whether they're industry representatives, folks like your extension agents, or in departments of agriculture. I met multiple folks from other states' Department of Agriculture's this year at NAFDMA. That was really valuable for me. But then we've talked about this already, just being able to learn from other producers and physically going and seeing what other people are doing, because every operation is unique. You may think that nobody else is going through the problem that you may be dealing with. Say, whether you're doing agritourism or whatever, chances are these folks have seen something similar, they have a solution, or they have an idea. And it's just really important to recognize that you need to invest in professional development for yourself.
So we've done 2 scholarships, and this is kind of just an example of where NAFDMA goes. In 2022, we were near Atlanta, Georgia, and toured around farms in that area, which was nice because we could drive. And we were able to take 6 value-added dairy producers and 3 UT extension specialists for professional development there. And last year we were in Austin, Texas, and we were able to take 11 producers and 2 extension folks there. And this year I think we're at about 6 producers and 3 extension folks going. So we're really excited to be able to continue this opportunity this year and next year. This year it will be in Boston.
Yes. Yeah.
It may be a little chilly in February in Boston.
It may be. All right. So Megan and I have touched on a lot of things now, but we will go ahead and give Nikki and Emmy a chance to kind of discuss their own lessons learned and kind of have a bit of a panel discussion here. And then we'll have some time for some questions after they get through. So you guys should be able to, if you have a question, pop that in the chat box. You should also be able to raise your hand. So you can get our attention. If you've got a question, we'll get it answered. But I'll go ahead and let Nikki and Emmy have the floor.
All right. Hi, everybody. So I was a lucky double recipient. So I got to go back to back to NAFDMA. And I think that was really valuable because my first visit, it's kind of overwhelming. You start learning everything you don't know. And you can kind of feel like you're getting information from all sides, and it all feels super important because it is. And year 2, I really got to narrow and focus down. But as far as some of the basics on the first visit, I think, I was really focused on our marketing and our on-farm retail location. So it was really nice. And this has been mentioned previously, but I would love to reiterate it. Just the networking and being able to talk and learn from others, or, bounce your ideas off of them and get feedback, because most of the time you're not the first one that's had that idea. And what mistakes, or not go through the trouble of reinventing the wheel when somebody's already done it and they're completely open with sharing that process so you can skip over some of their pitfalls or really hone in on areas that they wish they had addressed from the initial pickup. And I would also say for, my first visit, agritourism was kind of new for me, and it never occurred to me that there were other aspects of it. So there's agritainment, there's ag education, and then there's, just the broad tourism side of it. And I learned my passion is really the educational side, which of course being associated with a university makes complete sense to me. So I will say I really focused on the educational tourism style. So I really narrowed in on year 2 on that aspect. And it never really occurred to me outside of teaching our college level students that there are great opportunities financially and educationally to bring the public onto the farm. So I participated in a jam making workshop that was part of one of the educational sessions. And the farm that's doing that, it's a you-pick operation. And then you will take what you pick, you'll come into the building and you'll make your own jams. And that was something that, like, oh, it's fun. It has nothing to do with me. But after I, got to participate and how much fun I had with that, it's a great moment for advocacy and being able to talk about agriculture. It's going to be fun, educational, people get to leave with a product. And it's really a great opportunity to open up an avenue that you may not be tapping into. So that has been the biggest change for me, is I am looking into what types of classes we can offer the public small scale, and not just about the funding, but the opportunity to teach and continue to increase the number of people that are coming out to our facility, increasing the number of people that we're able to educate and reach. And obviously, we have a huge surge in ag interests, especially with COVID and the homesteading movements. It was just something that I never would have tapped into or thought about as an opportunity if I hadn't went to NAFDMA and experienced it myself. So that is my biggest focus right now. So some of the things we're thinking about in our creamery, we are lucky enough that, we're on a farm that also includes fruit and vegetable production. So we are wanting to mimic that class experience where we're doing a you-pick, you come in and make jam. But at the same time, a lot of that equipment would be able to be used for other classes. So selfishly, as our cheese maker, a few little tweaks, and we would be able to offer a class to the public that they can produce cheese and mimic what's happening on the stove or in the kitchen experience. Our previous public courses that we have offered or given opportunities to, they're coming into our creamery, and we have a 2,000-pound vat. And, even though the basics of cheese making are the same, some of this fancy equipment changes the experience, and it was really hard to take that back home. They had fun, they learned a lot, but they weren't necessarily able to go home and make cheese from the experience that they had. So I'm hoping to also mimic that jam making workshop style setup and do that with cheese making. We're also looking into, and again, I never thought about this as a class opportunity, how to wrap cheese, how to cut cheese, wrapping that into a charcuterie arrangement workshop situation. And that has really just started expanding, again, the number of visitors we have. There are people that are coming to us and interacting with us and repeat buyers of our products now that we never would have reached before. So honestly, just being a sponge when you go to NAFDMA and be open. I can be a bit of an introvert. It can be hard to, just jump into a group of people, but constantly be listening. There's conversations going on everywhere, and something catches your attention, jump in. Everyone is super friendly, and they're great. Even if They aren't necessarily giving away trade secrets. Everybody loves to talk about what they're doing, and everybody has a passion for whatever it is their thing is. So listen, talk to as many people as you can, meet people. If you're lucky enough to have multiple people that are coming with you, split up the class sessions. I'm going to go to A and B, you go to C and D, and that way you're just gathering as much info as possible, because it's a lot. It's amazing. And, you're going to come back months after and still be digesting and revisiting your notes and having epiphanies and discoveries that are going to continue on. And like I said, my second visit, being able to polish and move forward and really come into NAFDMA with a target was very, very helpful for me, as opposed to, just that broad visit. As far as, our on-farm retail, it was, again, amazing, because this is the first for me to kind of navigate. And it was wonderful to just have a group of people that have done it before and that understand what you're going through or what some of the challenges are, and being able to overcome it. I always had a notebook with me, and it was full of notes when I got back that I still look into. Occasionally we run into an opportunity or even a challenge, and I'll have a little spark that says, I talked to somebody about that, and I'll pull out my notebook. It's actually right next to me over here. I'll pull out that notebook and I'll start looking at those notes. I will go back to the conference attendee list that they provide and find the contact information for that person, reach out and kind of refresh the conversation that we had before. So if you don't know exactly what your targets are, go broad, be open to, making connections and reaching out to people, and hang out with somebody a different day at lunch, or jump to multiple tables and just talk to people or listen to the conversations going around you. But if you're at the point in your operations where you know what you want to do and you have a target, it's even easier to really hone in and figure out what's going to be the best for your farm, and being able to really crank down and prioritize your time while you're there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. That was great. And Emmy, if you are ready, we can go ahead and turn it over to you.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, you can? Okay, cool. I'm at the courthouse now, so I've got Wi-Fi and I can now connect with my video. Anyways, like I mentioned before, my name is Emmy Armstrong, and my husband and I own Horse Creek Farms Dairy, and we have just started slowly dabbling into the agritourism. At first, we didn't really know what we were wanting to do. We didn't have the dairy at first. So I know that I've gone on 2 scholarships to NAFDMA. Once was in Georgia, and then last year in Texas. But there was 1 year prior to that when I went, I didn't go anywhere. It was my kitchen. I did it online. And so that was the year of COVID. And so when I did it the year of COVID, I was like, these people are full of so much energy, and they're so much fun, and they know so much. Like, I really want to go in person. So then it became available to get the scholarship to go to Atlanta. And so I went to Atlanta, and it was just, I had just had a baby. So it was me and my baby. And I think that was one of the best experiences. I didn't have my husband to lean on. A lot of things that Nikki said, like, you go out and you meet people. Like, I didn't have a choice. I had to sit with people, and I had to meet people. And even though, like, some of the time I was meeting people, I would find people in my state, and I would find people out of state. And it was just the connection that you get, and the resources and the questions. They are not gatekeeping from anybody. They are like, this is what we're doing on our farm. This is how we've done it. And this is how much money we made last year. And you can't believe how much we made switching from this to this. And so, excuse me. So it doesn't always work on every single operation. So it's kind of just trial and error. Some locations are a little bit different. Like Nikki said, some are offering agritainment, some are offering ag tourism, and some are offering ag education. When I started into our agritourism journey, and I first spoke with Miss Megan, we were thinking, you know, let's grow the pumpkins, do that or whatever. The more that I got into it, the more that we started having people come out to our farm, the more it started becoming kind of like fitting like a glove, like things that worked and things that didn't. And so a lot of the things when you go to NAFDMA and you speak to these other people, some of them are doing some pretty insane things. I don't know. I'm a dairy farmer. I don't have a whole lot of time and desire for an entertainment park on my farm. I truly want it to be more focused towards ag education and the agritourism part, giving people that experience and educating people. So I like to do the tours. I like to do the fun events that just get people out to our farm so that they can kind of see, like, this is, you know, the cows, this is them in their natural and all their glory. They're just, you know, out here, out there. And so that's kind of the niche that I've come into. I feel a lot of the way that Nikki has over the people that you meet and getting on these buses and going to the farms. You get to see what they're doing and you get to take a lot of that home. And she mentioned a notebook. I have a bag full of papers and flyers and resources from the different farms, and I've taken their pamphlets and their brochures and kind of tried to tweak them and see what they're doing and how it could benefit on our farm. The value added is the biggest one, is what Nikki and I had accepted the scholarship for, to bring out a product that we could make from our farm and share as far as like being the agritourism part of it. So that aspect of it, there's a lot of the classes. So during the week, there's one day of bus tours, but there's a couple of days where you'll go to educational seminars, and they're abundant. And then on top of that, when people get and they start talking, and you know, by the first dinner, they've made 3 or 4 more roundtable sessions because they're like, well, we want to know and what this person is doing. It's been very successful on their farm. I need to know what they're doing. And then the next person says, well, I want to know too. So they get in a room and they create their own roundtable. So all these lessons, you can pre-plan your trip, you can plan with your spouse, divide and conquer. That was a big one that Nikki had touched on. So if you can figure out, you know, succession planning and business, and then there's adding fun, and then there, one year we did donuts. If donuts were super popular that year, and slushy machines, and how to run those, and how to gain employees and how to keep employees. So there's a lot on the business side, and then there's a lot on the fun side, like what kind of activities can we add, you know, playgrounds, and you know, what are you doing as far as keeping the kids entertained when they're on the farm, because the goal is to keep them there and, you know, have food to feed them so that they stay and give them that experience. There's so much that you can learn from the NAFDMA experience. So with the 1 year online and the 2 years that I did go, it is a pretty pricey trip. It's definitely not cheap. And the scholarship is so beneficial. Last year it sent my husband and I. This year we did not end up applying for it because we want other people to get that opportunity as well. It's extremely beneficial in the contacts that you can make and personal development, just getting out there, meeting other people that you would normally have not met before, and really just talking, sharing your ideas. And even if you've never been before, you can give something to those that may have been doing this for many years that they just didn't see. Every year it becomes, year after year on their farm, it just becomes, this is what we do, this is how we do it. We come to the NAFDMA, we implement some new things, but someone new coming on is like, well, I get all of this, but what about this? And they're like, you know what? We've been doing this so long, I never thought about that. And so whether you're just starting or you're a seasoned agritourism, ag education enthusiast and owner, you have something to offer for everyone. So it's a great time. It's a great opportunity, with the scholarship. It is something that you front up front and it gets reimbursed to you, but it's very simple. The paperwork, everything makes it totally worth it. And I don't know, I just can't thank these ladies enough for the webinar and for always looking out on how we can provide and streamline income for our farms and value added. So I met Nikki through this, and Alaina and Miss Megan through the UT Center for Profitable Ag. And I just can't, there's so many more people I can't, like Chef Stearns and Liz Eckamp. There's so many people that are so supportive, and getting to go on a trip with these folks and just being there and learning together and then talking and bringing it home. It's invaluable. So just thank you, ladies, so much for everything you do.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. That was awesome. Thank you, both of you, for sharing all that with us. It was great to hear. I know we echoed a lot of the same sentiment, but that was great.
So Emmy, if there's one thing that you have taken back and put into practice or implemented on your farm, one or two things, what would those things be that you are working toward or really putting into play there?
So some things that we learned that we have taken back to the farm, and putting in, just we're not as far advanced as Nikki is. So while we don't have employees and we don't have, we're not currently making a product, I really do have one of those bags full of all. We are working with K-Card right now, like for our business and our financials and things like that. So as far as like something really amazing that changed our life, that's all sitting in a bag right now, if that makes sense. Really, it's the connections, and it's being able to be on the NAFDMA page on Facebook and read through. I can go back, and so as I'm planning and as I'm writing down our business plan, I can go back and say, well, let me put in the group, in the chat, what did we say about this, or what did we say about that? It's having all of those points right there to pull in, to tie in our business plan, so that we're not being flooded with the information all at once. And I will say, you will feel extremely overwhelmed once you attend. You'll literally want to come home and immediately think, how can I fund all of these new things, new ideas? So it's given us new ideas. It's given us direction. It's given me clarity between, agritourism, agri-tainment, ag education. So that is definitely one thing it has done. Some of these farms are doing agri-tainment, and it is awesome. Like, they have like mini theme parks on their farm, but it really made me kind of hone in and focus on what I wanted to do. So I don't have like this big fancy, we added this and now we're making millions. But I do have so much in store in my brain, and different things that we've learned to go through in our business plan and write all that stuff down. So it's really helped in molding our business and tying the loose ends and tightening it up.
Awesome.
So
Thank you.
I think that's really important. Emmy, you can see things that, like, this is help you define your mission and your vision and your place in the market. Like, this fits me and that really doesn't fit me, or this is possible for us, or
absolutely.
or this is the scale we need to be on. And those things are important as well. If you're just starting a business, and those are things to look for in any professional development opportunity. And one of the values of a professional development, whether it's a local conference or workshop or an online conference or one of the many regional conferences out there.
Awesome. All right, well, I will go ahead and go over to our next slide. So just some upcoming professional development opportunities that we have coming down the pipe from CPA. Some of you may have seen some emails about this already this year. I know we've been promoting it. We do have access to a value-added dairy foods business course that's through Penn State University. So it's completely self-paced, completely online. We have a limited number of access codes for value-added dairy producers in Tennessee, Kentucky, and North Carolina that can get access to that course and take that. If that's something you're interested in, feel free to contact us after the session and we can hook you up with that. We also have some value-added producer grant workshops coming in 3 locations in Tennessee in 2024. I think those are going to be in the later part of January. So we have some information about that on our educational events page on the CPA website. And then of course, NAFDMA 2024 is coming up the first week of February in Boston, Massachusetts. And then we will have our Pick Tennessee conference later that month in February as well. Do you want to touch on?
Sure. So yeah, the Pick Tennessee conference is a group of, I think 8 or 9. I kind of lose track of producer organizations in the state, anywhere from the agritourism operators to the fruit and vegetable growers, the farmers, Veteran Farmers Coalition is joining this year. There's beekeepers and some flower growing sessions, all sorts of sessions, Christmas trees. They're talking about production of things and then direct marketing and kind of business, anything from risk management to regulations, and some great sessions on labor considerations this year as well. So that's in Franklin, Tennessee. It's a 3-day conference with educational sessions, networking, and a trade show. So if you haven't jumped into some networking and are close to Franklin, that's a nice event to get started and a reasonable, very reasonable registration rate. I think it's $150 for the 3 days and including lunch each day and that sort of thing. So that's a good one to check out.
And then we've got some more details coming soon, so keep your eyes peeled from announcements from our center. We have an Exploring Agritourism for Your Farm farmers market vendor boot camp. Some of you guys may be familiar with that online training that we've done in the past. We also did some food buyer tours under the Market Ready program name. We did 2 in September, 1 in Nashville and 1 in Knoxville. So we're looking at doing more of those in Tennessee. And then our Market Ready friends in Kentucky, we kind of help them out from time to time. They do those in Kentucky pretty frequently, and we can get you information on those if that's something you're interested in. And some of you may also be familiar with our World Dairy Expo trip that the Southeast Dairy Business Innovation Initiative just allowed a group of dairy producers to go on in October. We are looking at doing another experiential learning course trip in 2024. This time we'll be going to the New England area. So be on the lookout for more news and information on how to apply for that when that comes out. And that brings us to kind of the end of our session. We've got about 15 minutes left. So if any of you had any questions, feel free to kind of reach out, put those in the chat or in the Q&A, and we can get answers for those. So I'll give everybody just a few minutes. If you have any questions, if you need to hop off, feel free to do that now. For those of you that this is your first Daring to Learn session, we do ask that you guys fill out the evaluation form. So you can scan this QR code or use the link up there, that tiny.utk.edu link. I will also get this same information out to you in the follow-up email after this session wraps up. So you guys will have multiple ways to access this evaluation form. If you are trying to get TEAP credit, just a reminder, I know some of you folks have watched the 5 sessions already. You have until December 31st If you watch 5 of the 8 Daring to Learn sessions that we've offered in 2023, you will qualify for some TEAP credit. There will be more information about that in the follow-up email you guys get. But I will give you a chance, if you have any questions, to kind of reach out and share those with us now. And Nikki or Emmy, either one of you, if you have anything else to add, feel free to jump back in. Just kind of while we're giving folks a chance to think about questions.
Yeah, Emmy did spark some things for me. I will say networking was really, really valuable for me on year 1. So I started my current position in November and then went to the first NAFDMA in February. So I hadn't been in my position very long. We were out of production of cheese for almost a year before I was hired. So I went to NAFDMA and I had not been in my position long. I had never made cheese in my facility. I'd only made cheese in my kitchen before. Unfortunately, our previous cheesemaker had passed during COVID, and nobody knew how to use any of the equipment in our facility. So I was lucky enough to inherit an existing facility that had been permitted in the past. However, I didn't know where to get started. And I made some connections with other dairy folks from our NAFDMA group. One in particular, who I love to death, just received a text from him this morning, actually, where we still keep in touch, all the way in North Carolina. And I never would have met him if it wasn't for NAFDMA. And there were times when I was literally taking my cell phone into our facility, taking a picture of something and asking him what the heck this piece of equipment was. So I didn't know the names for things. I didn't know, what are great resources for me to buy products that I need. So, working with other dairy producers was great for me because I would have been trying to read the PMO, which is, if anybody knows what that is or has ever read it before, it's kind of like pulling out the encyclopedia. And, I'd say because I was lucky enough to go to NAFDMA, we were able to start production or restart our production within 6 months of my hire. And it probably would have been more like a year if I hadn't been able to make those connections. So, it was super valuable for me, and I'm still using those connections today. I'm still on a personal and a professional level, finding those connections and relationships and networking super valuable. And, I've been able to run into these individuals and see their operations grow and grow along with them. And they've been able to do the same for me. And you really get a nice little support network. I've said before, dairy folks are some of the best people out there. And, I've never had such an open, welcoming, supportive group before. And it's totally invaluable.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Thank you again, Nikki, for sharing. I feel like we've said the same things over and over, but we just can't stress, how important those kind of things, the professional development, the networking, all that is for you guys. And I have checked our chat box in the Q&A. I'm not seeing anything. I see some folks have stepped away already, so I will go ahead and stop recording. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach back out to us after the session. But be on the lookout for our next session coming up in January of 2024. So thanks, guys.